motion be agreed to. The Honourable Enoch King.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Minister of Social Development had the opportunity to rewrite the Social Security Act, to do a full rewrite of an act that was described to this Select Committee as the worst statute in this Parliament, that's a dog's breakfast, that's incomprehensible, that's been amended close to 50 times, and a disgrace. It needed to be repealed, not revised with more patches put on it. But the Minister wasn't interested in a real change in social welfare policy. She wanted to pursue a political agenda. And that is what she has done with this piece of legislation that she calls a turning point for New Zealand. How can it be a turning point for New Zealand when at the same time she's got a working party that's doing work on changes to social development for the future? Is that going to be a turning point as well, turning back around and round in circles? It's just pure rhetoric. The Minister started the committee stages by saying the debate had been emotive, that there was a lot of angst from the opposition and a lot of scaremongering from the opposition about the bill. Well, Minister, I can only assume by those comments that you think that those who made submissions to the Select Committee are idiots because they didn't understand the bill and they heard what the opposition said about it. You see, they weren't idiots. They managed to read the bill. They managed to listen to what was said by the government. They understood only too well what the bill meant. They weren't idiots. They weren't scared into putting in a submission. And the first clue we got that the Minister didn't know anything about the strength of feeling about her legislation was when she said that in the House. And there was strong feelings in this House, strongly opposed by Labour, by the Greens, by the Progressive Party, by 5 of the 6 Maori Party members, with only Tariana Turia voting with the government in a split vote from the Maori Party. This bill was supported by the National Party backbenchers, who sat there like stunned mullets for most of the debate, hardly able to get out of their seats to contribute to it. But the real strength of feeling against this bill is outside this Parliament, from most of the submitters to the Select Committee. And do we all remember what John Key said about his government? We are a government that listen to the voices of New Zealand. We value what the people of New Zealand tell us. Well, the submitters to that bill overwhelmingly told this government not to proceed with the bill, and were they listened to? No. They were treated as if they were idiots because they were stupid enough to make a submission against the Minister's excellent bill. They came from frontline organisations, from church groups, from government organisations, from individuals, from newspaper editorials, from cartoons, from commentators and opinion pieces. Organisations like the Law Society called the bill discriminatory. Discriminatory. Why? Because it discriminates against men. In this bill, a widower will be work tested, but a widow won't. No reason given why other than the government believes that that's what the people of New Zealand would want. What century do they live in? We do not believe in discrimination against men or women. The Attorney-General said this bill is discriminatory. Why did he say that? Because it discriminates between men and women. It discriminates between women who are widows and sole parent women. That's why it's discriminatory. That is disgraceful. It was never fixed when the chance was given here in the House. It wasn't fixed on the weight of the submissions that were given to the Select Committee. And then there were the submissions themselves. And many of these submissions, Mr Speaker, come from organisations that we greatly admire, and we know that their work on the front line is so important to the social fabric of New Zealand. We ask them to do a lot of our hard lifting when it comes to people who are in need. And so when you hear from the Salvation Army, an organisation I have a lot of respect for, then you usually open your ears and you listen. They said from this bill, it'll be the care of children will suffer. The care of children. You see, when the Minister spoke, she made a lot about and said a lot about work was the way out of this problem that people on benefits have. Unrelenting focus on work. But does she believe that caring for children is work? Does she believe bringing up a child in the best possible way you can, with the best care you can, is work? Is that useful work? Does that contribute to New Zealand society? Well, in my view, it does. In my view, the heroes are the people who are good parents looking after their children, making sure they contribute to society. Did you hear the Minister once mention children? This bill is about children and the care of children, because the most people affected by this bill are those people on a sole parent benefit. That's who's affected. She's not listening now. She never listened then. The Salvation Army said populism is not an appropriate basis for making policy. The Salvation Army, who should know, said that this bill may cause even more poverty in New Zealand. And it's estimated by Massey University, by Mike O'Brien, who submitted to the Select Committee, they estimate poverty under this legislation will increase between 14 and 17%. 14 to 17%. Who will be hurt by that? The children of those parents, those beneficiaries, are the ones who will be hurt. Why can we not get it into our heads that the best investment we can make in this country is into everybody's children, not just the children of the good, those that have got husbands and wives and a nice little home? Good on them. But don't we care about all children in this country? Don't we believe all children should get a good start in this country, including the children of beneficiaries? Then we had the Women's Refuge, the Wellington's Women's Refuge, who submitted to us. They said this bill may force women to stay in violent relationships. They said the government was only paying lip service to violence against women. Then we have Presbyterian support, and there wouldn't be a member in this House, if they're doing their job, who hasn't dealt with Presbyterian support. They said the bill sends a signal that paid employment is far more important than caring for children. They said children will be disadvantaged by this legislation. The Christian Council of Social Services said research was needed. They said this bill is not based on any research or any evidence. Human Rights Commissioner, the EEO Commissioner, Judy McGregor, came to the Select Committee. She did provide some evidence from her Focus on Work project, a project that took her to 16 regions of New Zealand, where she interviewed 300 employers, and what they said, it was the lack of jobs that is the critical component as to why people are not working. And overwhelmingly, she said, people want to get back to work, but there's none available. 2,700 people applied for 150 supermarket jobs. And there are 159,000 people in New Zealand out of work, and another 19,000 just added last month. Unemployment went down when there were good times. The people on the benefit went down in good times. The people on the domestic purposes benefit, the numbers went down when there was jobs and there was working for families. That is the key to ensuring people get a job. And alongside that is providing the support to enable them to do that. You've got to have good child care. You've got to have good parenting help and support. You've got to have early intervention, adequate income. You've got to ensure that people have the ability to get the tools and the strength to go out and get a job. Not one that leaves them in a poverty trap, but one that takes them and their family somewhere in the future because they have got behind them education and training. Why not make education as the same as working? I asked the Minister to do that. I put up a number of SOPs to improve this bill, every one of them voted against. This bill will not do what the Minister said